Hi guys, how are you? Welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for being here. If you clicked on this video, it's because you are going to take your NCLEX soon and you're looking for tips and tricks that might help you figure out the answer that you don't know. So these tips and tricks are things that I did not come up with, but that I adjusted to me and what benefited me while I was using UWorld and HERS to study for my NCLEX. And I kind of changed them in a way that I felt that were benefiting me. So if you want to go ahead and learn these tips and tricks, just go ahead and keep on watching. So while I was studying for my NCLEX, I was looking at videos every single day of tips and tricks, and it was kind of the same thing over and over and over again. Everybody was saying you have to learn your vital signs, you have to memorize your lab values, you have to learn toxicity of medications, you have to know all of that. But you already know that because you just graduated from nursing school and that's what they taught you in nursing school. So you should already know that you need to do that. If you haven't done it, then you should. But these are tips and tricks that I think are going to help you figure out the answer to a question that you have absolutely no idea. I would not recommend that if you take your NCLEX tomorrow, you go ahead and use these tips and tricks for the first time on your NCLEX. I would recommend that if you test in a couple of weeks or in a month or so, that you use these tips and tricks on some practice questions and you see what works and what doesn't work for you, because that's basically what I did. I got tips and tricks from other people and I adjusted them to what works for me and to what I understood, because no two brains are alike. So use these tips and tricks, adjust them to what benefits you and what you see that after using them on multiple questions helps you out, and go ahead and just use those, and hopefully they really benefit you and you're able to pass your NCLEX. So starting off with test tip number 1, focus on only what the question is asking you. While we're in school, they teach us like robots, ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation. So you're freaking out, you want to just answer the question, you don't want to get it wrong, you only have one option and one question to tell this NCLEX people, I know what I'm doing. So you freak out, you see an option that has to do with airway and you automatically want to pick that option. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the answer to the question, because what if the question is not asking you anything that has to do with airway? They're putting that in there because you know that you have been trained to click airway, breathing, circulation, and that's going to be your first option. But read the question 2 times, restate the question to yourself, and the first thing that pops to your brain, it's okay if it's not airway or breathing or circulation, then that's going to be the answer to the question. So now moving on to test tip number 2. Patients are stable unless stated otherwise. So this NCLEX test is so crazy and it freaks you out, so you automatically want to make everybody unstable, everyone is dying. But that's not the case. So the only way that I can explain this is I had a question while I was studying. This is not an NCLEX question, this is one of the questions from one of the banks that I was using. And the question stated, which patient should the nurse go see first? There's 2 options that I was like, all right, this is not the question. This is not the option at all. And then there was one option that said a patient that was in severe pain, and another option that said a patient getting up for the 2nd time to go use the restroom that was getting treatment for a DVT. So I said airway, breathing, circulation, DVT, circulation, that's the answer. But guess what? That wasn't the answer. Just because the option said that the patient had a DVT, nowhere there did it say that the patient wasn't stable. It didn't say how long the patient had been getting treatment. It didn't say if the patient was at the end of the treatment. It didn't say if the patient was at the beginning of the treatment. It never said. It only said that the patient had gotten up 2 times to go to the restroom. Never said anything else. But I automatically assumed that that was the right answer because of airway, breathing, circulation. But that is not always the case. The option was the patient that was in severe pain, because being in severe pain is uncomfortable, so that patient was unstable. So don't always, ABC is not always the answer. Yes, it is. Airway is the most important thing, but that doesn't necessarily apply to every option. So just remember, if they don't say that this patient is unstable, then that patient is stable. Just focus on that and remember that. Test Tip number 3. Eliminate options that are alike. It is impossible for both options to be correct. So if you have a multiple choice, you have no idea what the answer is. Like, you just have no idea. Look through the options, and if you see two that are similar or they are alike, you can automatically eliminate those two, because it's impossible for two options to be right. They're only asking you for one. And if the question is asking you to answer in a positive way, then go ahead and pick the option that is not going to kill your patient. And if the question is asking you to answer in a negative way, then go ahead and answer the option that is going to kill your patient. Remember, this test is to the extreme. Either the patient is going to live or the patient is going to die. There's no in between with them. They want to make sure that you are not going to go out into the field and you are not going to harm anyone. Which takes me to test tip number 4. And this is for select author reply. This is the one that everyone is so scared of. These are the hard options, these are the hard questions. But honestly, I find these questions after using this tip a little bit easier than some multiple choice questions. So on my exam, I had, out of 75 questions, 25 select author reply, and in my opinion, that was a lot. But I was able to pass my exam. So this tip and trick is basically, for select author reply, pick the options that are alike. So for example, they give you 5 options. You have absolutely no idea the disease process that they're asking you, and they're asking you for symptoms that this patient might feel. So you need to find similarities in these 5 options. If you find something similar in some of them, you pick the ones that are similar, and that is going to be your answer. I used this tip while I was studying for my NCLEX, and I seen that it really did benefit me. And if I didn't know the option, if I didn't know the answer, if you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer. So the best thing that you can do is try to answer as best as you possibly can. And using this tip is what would make me answer these questions 70% of the time correct. If I didn't even know the answer, I would use this tip and I would get the answer correct. So try this tip and trick and see if it helps you. So the most important tip and trick that I would recommend to you, read the question 2 times and then restate the question to yourself in your own words. And the first thing that comes to your mind, that is the answer. Remember, you just graduated from nursing school, so you know the information. That's the answer. Pick it and move on to the next one. If you pick it and you don't move on to the next one, you're gonna start thinking, oh, but I remember I saw this. Oh, but I remember this person said this. Oh, but I remember that this. You're gonna change your answer and you're going to end up getting it wrong. So don't change your answers. Just click next and move on to the next option. To the next question. So these, like I said, were tips and tricks that helped me pass my NCLEX. So my recommendation would be that you don't use this on the NCLEX for the first time. My recommendation would be that you take these tips and tricks, you practice with them, you adjust them to what benefits you and what you see that is helping you, and then if you see that it's working for you, then you use them on your NCLEX. And I really, really, really hope that this helps you. Post down in the comments down below if this did work for you or if it didn't work for you and how you were able to adjust it, so people can look in the comments down below and get other ideas on how they can adjust their tips and tricks to what's going to help them. And I really hope that you're able to pass your NCLEX. Congratulations on getting through nursing school, and I know you're going to pass your NCLEX, so I'm saying it beforehand. Congratulations on passing your NCLEX and becoming the registered nurse that you've dreamed of becoming your entire life, or that you've been working so hard to. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the support, and I'll talk to you guys later.